Welcome everyone to today's Explainer. Have you ever scooped up a drop of pond water, peered at it closely and wondered what exactly is swimming around in there? Well, you are in the right place. Today we're zooming in on a completely hidden biological world as we dive into Grade 9 Biology, specifically Unit 5, Lesson 2, Protists, and an introduction to protists. Let's get right into it.
We've got a really great roadmap for today. We are going to cover 1. The classification puzzle, 2. The junk drawer, 3. A case study on animal-like protozoans, 4. A misconception check, 5. A formative check, and 6. A quick recap to wrap things up.
Section 1. The classification puzzle. Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, we need to do a little time travel. Put yourself in the shoes of early biologists trying to make sense of the natural world. Imagine you're peering through an old-school microscope, right? And you see this tiny organism. It's actively hunting for food, moving around just like an animal. But wait, it's only a single cell, kind of like a bacteria. Or maybe you spot something else entirely. Its cellular structure literally matches nothing else on record. For the longest time, scientists looked at these things and just scratched their heads. Are they animals, bacteria, plants, fungi? The frustrating answer? None of the above. They just didn't fit into any of the established boxes.
Section 2. The junk drawer.
So before we can officially name this biological catch-all, we absolutely have to understand the one massive foundational trait all these mystery organisms share. They are eukaryotes. A eukaryote is simply an organism whose cells have a nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. This is a huge deal. It means their DNA is securely locked away inside a central vault, the nucleus. That instantly sets them apart from bacteria, which are prokaryotes and definitely do not have a nucleus. So whatever these mystery guys are, their cellular machinery is pretty complex.
Fast forward to 1866. A scientist named Ernst Haeckel proposed a brand new kingdom called Protista to finally solve this classification puzzle. But here is a wild fact. It wasn't fully embraced by the scientific community until the 1960s. Because these organisms actually have very little in common aside from having that nucleus, this kingdom is famously known as biology's junk drawer. Think about that drawer in your kitchen. You know the one. It's got batteries, a few rogue rubber bands, maybe some loose paper clips, all because they don't really belong anywhere else. Well, Kingdom Protista is exactly that, but for eukaryotes that can't be neatly filed away as true animals, true plants, or true fungi.
Let's look at the few rules that actually do apply to the totally random assortment of things in this junk drawer. First off, as we just covered, they're all eukaryotic. They've got that nucleus. Second, they are mostly unicellular, meaning the whole organism is literally just one single cell, though there are a few exceptions we'll touch on later. Third, most of them pack mitochondria to generate energy. Fourth, they are obsessed with water. They strictly prefer aquatic or incredibly moist environments. And finally, some of them can act as parasites, setting up camp inside other organisms. Hold on to that last point, because it's going to be absolutely crucial in just a second.
Section 3. Case study. Animal-like protozoans.
All right, let's zoom in on a specific group within our junk drawer, the animal-like protists, which scientists call protozoans. Now you might be wondering, why call them animal-like if we literally just learned they aren't true animals? Well, it all boils down to two specific behaviors. First, they are heterotrophs. That means they can't make their own food. They have to actively hunt and consume other organisms to survive. Second, they actually have the ability to move around to track down that food. Hunting and moving? Yeah, that sounds pretty animal-like, right? But since they are mostly single-celled and completely lack complex tissues, they stay securely filed away in the protist drawer.
Let's look at a real-world example of an animal-like protozoan. And honestly, it's a notorious one. Meet Plasmodium. This is a genus of parasitic animal-like protists. Remember when we said some protists can be parasites? Plasmodium takes this to a whole new level. It actually relies on two completely different hosts just to survive and complete its life cycle: humans and the female Anopheles mosquito. The end result of this microparasite's journey, the disease we know as malaria.
Let's track this incredible yet totally dangerous micro-level journey step by step. This is the Plasmodium life cycle. Step 1. An infected female mosquito bites a human for a blood meal and sneaks tiny parasite forms called sporozoids right into the human bloodstream. Step 2. Those sporozoids make a beeline straight for the liver, where they infect the liver cells, mature, and start replicating. Step 3. The parasites literally burst out of the liver and invade the red blood cells, multiplying asexually over and over again. They actually rupture the red blood cells as they multiply, which is wild. Finally, step 4. Some of those parasites develop into special forms called gametocytes. When another, totally uninfected mosquito comes along and bites the human, it slurps up those gametocytes and the whole cycle starts completely over again inside the new mosquito.
Now, the macro-level impact of this microscopic protozoan multiplying and bursting red blood cells is just massive. The clinical symptoms of malaria hit hard. We're talking intense fever and chills, severe headaches and weakness, myalgias, which is just a fancy medical word for deep muscle aches, and gastrointestinal stuff like vomiting and diarrhea. It is a striking reminder that something totally invisible to the naked eye, a single-celled item pulled straight from the biological junk drawer, can completely upend human health.
Section 4. Misconception check. Okay, quick pause. Since we've been talking so much about microscopic parasites, you'd be totally forgiven for thinking all protists are tiny. But actually, scratch that. That's not true at all. Some protists are multicellular and can grow to be absolutely massive in aquatic environments. But here's the crucial difference you have to remember. These giant protists lack cellular specialization and differentiated tissues. Basically, almost all of their cells look exactly the same and do the exact same basic job. Contrast that with true plants and animals. We have highly specialized cells. I mean, think about how different a human muscle cell is from a human brain cell. They group together to form complex tissues and organs. That lack of cellular specialization is exactly why even a massive multicellular organism is classified as a protist and not a true plant or animal.
Section 5. Formative check.
All right, let's see what you've retained. Here's your question. What are the two key traits that classify a protist as animal-like? In other words, what makes it a protozoan? Think back to that definition we covered earlier. I'll give you a couple of seconds to lock in your answer in your head. Okay, let's reveal the answer. They are heterotrophs, meaning they absolutely must get their food by consuming others, and they have the ability to move. If you got that right, fantastic job. You officially understand why these single-celled hunters get slapped with that animal-like label, even while staying firmly inside the protist kingdom.
Section 6. Recap.
Let's wrap this up with a quick mental map of what we covered today. First, protists are defined by being eukaryotes. Their cells have a central nucleus locking away that DNA. Second, they form the biological junk drawer kingdom, purely because they don't fit the strict rules of true plants, true animals, or fungi. Third, they're mostly single-celled and absolutely require aquatic or moist environments. Fourth, protozoans are the specific animal-like protists because they move around and hunt as heterotrophs. And lastly, we looked at Plasmodium, a parasitic protozoan that bounces between mosquitoes and humans, causing malaria.
I want to leave you with this one final thought. If a single drop of pond water can hold an entire hidden kingdom of microscopic hunters and complex parasites like Plasmodium, what else is hiding in plain sight all around us? The biological world is vast, deeply layered, and mostly totally invisible to the naked eye. Keep questioning, keep looking closer, and we'll see you in the next explainer.